Hi, my name is Nic Sheff. I'm a writer. I've written a couple books. One of them is called Beautiful Boy, which is the story of our family when my son Nick became addicted to methamphetamine, heroin, and other drugs.
And what made you want to come out to support this event? I mean, it's a little bit obvious, but what really made you want to come out?
Well, I guess what I've realized when Nick and I have traveled around the country, we've met a million people, a lot of kids, and people are confused about addiction. They're confused about drug use. We're losing 200 people a day. Every single day are dying of overdose. And if we don't start talking about it, if we don't start dealing with these issues, it's not going to get better. And so our hope is that we can be part of the conversation.
What's your relationship like with your son today?
Well, after 10 years when he almost died and I didn't think he was going to make it to 21, he turned 36 this summer. And, for people who think that they can never heal, that their families can never heal when they go through this kind of a hell, I mean, we know that you can because we're closer than ever.
If you could do one thing different, what would that one thing be?
I guess what I would do if I could go back and do one thing differently is realize that so often that parents and teachers, we look at our kids and we look at what's going on outside them. So my son was he was a really good student, he was an athlete and all this kind of stuff, and he seemed really happy and this and that. Only later did I realize that he was actually suffering inside. He has intense anxiety, he has intense depression, and that contributed to the fact that he went out and he used drugs and became addicted. So if I could go back in time, I would recognize that you can't judge what's going on from someone's outside. You have to really look inside, because if we'd figured that out early, maybe who knows what would have happened, but if I could have gotten Nick's support when he was young, it really could have changed his trajectory.
I struggled with addiction for about 10 years before I finally got sober. It was a really long process for me.
What would you say most contributes to those feelings which lead to addiction and mental health issues?
That's a great question. They've done studies where they've asked teenagers the number one reason why they use drugs and alcohol, and you would expect it to be peer pressure or they want to have fun or whatever. But overwhelmingly, what teens identify themselves is that it's because of stress that they feel. And there is a lot of pressure on young people now. The world is definitely in a tumultuous time. We're in a tumultuous time, and can feel like there's not a lot of options or not a lot of hope. And so I know using can sometimes feel like an escape or a way out. But I think the thing that I really like to talk to young people about is that there's something that is really incredible about not needing any kind of substance in order to hang out with your friends or go to a movie or go to a party. And the fact that we teach young people that is part of what it means to socialize, is you need a substance to you need a drink or you need to smoke pot, is really kind of sad. And to me, I feel very proud of the fact that I can go to parties and go even out to bars and clubs and stuff, and I don't need drugs or alcohol in order to relate to other people, and that feels like a strength, so it's something I want to share with people.
Actually, I was 20 years of age when I attempted suicide, and I remember I felt like, it wasn't that I felt like I wanted to die, I just wanted to end my pain. And so there are many people out there today with more services that are readily available, even with the Didi Hirsch with their 24-hour bilingual hotline that's out here to help people. So, help is out there. I say talk to someone, especially a family member or a trusted person. The most important thing for me was counseling and family support. Counseling is very essential. A lot of times people go through 5 minutes of counseling. They think they're doing better in 5 minutes, and then they stop their treatment. But I had to go through it with a forensic psychotherapist for 2 years. And once I got the ingredients and learned how to live and how to, put one foot in front of the other, life became very exciting.
People are desperate and they're feeling emotional pain. And if they don't have places to go to address that, whether it's counseling or whatever, then they turn to painkillers. And whatever that painkiller is, emotionally, you're going to take it because you don't want to be in pain the next day. Hopefully that can be replaced by help, because the painkiller is just a temporary solution. I was at one time homeless, and I was on drugs and alcohol. Being in this business, it's a business of rejection. They tell you to get over it, but you don't. And if you're rejected, you start thinking of yourself in a certain way. So I've been there.
What helped you? What helped you most get through that?
Transcendental meditation. It took. Once I started meditation, I taken no drugs since.
Now, let's say that right now a teenager's watching this, they're feeling desperate, they're feeling anxious, they're feeling depressed, and they're about to make a bad choice. What would you say to them right now to help stop them?
Well, I guess what I'd say is, we're not alone, ask for help. Everybody needs help. We have this idea that we have to deal with stuff on our own, that we have to, that it's shameful to talk about the fact that we're struggling. You know what? Everybody struggles. And people use because of that stress in some cases, but the problem with that is it might help for a minute, but then it ends up making it worse. If you have depression, it makes it worse. If you have anxiety disorder, it makes it worse. We can't do it ourselves. Reach out to someone, talk to somebody, ask for help.
I think when somebody is in that situation where they're having thoughts of suicide, oftentimes it can feel very lonely and very hopeless, and it is so important to know that there is hope. You are not alone, and there is a brighter tomorrow. There is help.
I mean, the thing is it may feel like the feeling that you're feeling is going to last forever and you're going to be feeling this way your whole life, but I promise that if you just hold on and just keep putting one foot in front of the other, it does get better. It always does. Like, suicide is, they say it's a temporary or it's a permanent solution to a temporary problem, and that really is true. I mean, the feelings that we feel, especially when we're young, they can feel so overwhelming, but honestly, it really, things change. You can get past and you can get through anything. I mean, I've seen it over and over again, both with my own experience and with other people. It's really possible to get through anything and come out the other side and rebuild and, start over and have a really great life.
Love yourself. You are responsible for your self-love. No one can totally love you totally until you love yourself. And so it's like, there's an old saying, nobody can drive you crazy unless you give them the keys. So don't be giving nobody the keys to your self-worth. You have your own self-worth. Love yourself.
It's really important that we become more supportive of one another, whether it's having friends who become your new healthy family, or working on your relationships with your family members to help create an environment that's really healthy and supportive for you. That's going to make a big difference.
If you could travel back in time and give one piece of advice to your teenage self, what would that one piece of advice be? You can say it to the camera.
One piece of advice to my teenage self would be to keep my eyes on the Lord. My name's Kathy Ireland, and you're watching Teens Wanna Know.
Teens want to know.
Teens want to know.
Teens want to know.